I got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. 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 No filter, I got no filter.
Hey guys, so we have an official sponsor.
Okay, well, we did not get the advertisement in tonight. First of all, I'd like to apologize to everyone tonight for the Tuesday night show, Paramotor Hangout. Both of my laptops have taken a crap, and I'm on my wife's tablet, which is slower than molasses in January. So I have to now deal with the echo. I don't know if you guys hear an echo or not, but I sure as the heck do. Anyways, tonight, as the show is called, or the motto is no filter. So I want you guys to understand tonight's show is Dave Ruff's opinion, his thoughts, his whatever you want to call it. This is going to be the After Dark 2.0 on Paramotor Hangout. Will and Mark will be here shortly. Will is having to pay his dues to staying at the Paralife Ranch mansion for tonight before we go to Waller's Flying tomorrow. So, Mr. Dave Ruff, how we doing?
I'm doing good.
So
how are
you've got
you?
I am. You better stop. Don't make me drive to Texas. God dang it.
Oh, please come out here and bless me with your presence.
Yeah. Listen, I am so stressed out with this computer thing. I don't understand it.
Can I give you a piece of advice from when we were doing shows?
Yes, sir.
When pre-shows went the way this is going, we just drank more. Just saying.
It is my Friday, just so you know. Anyways, so we have a couple of topics tonight, Mr. Ruff, that you would like to discuss.
Yeah. As you said, I'm probably going to get pretty passionate on one of the topics, and we'll probably cover that a little later in the show because we want more and more people to come in. So, guys, definitely put the link out. Do me a favor. This is going to be an After Dark 2.0. Of course, it's Shane's show. I really appreciate you having me on tonight. Kind of use you as a medium for this. But yeah, we're going to talk about accountability, and then we're also going to talk about instructors and students and what they should expect, what they should do, what they shouldn't do, things like that.
Heck yeah. So let's right now. Can you tell the ones that are in the chat right now while we're waiting for more people to come in that what you do for a living, what your profession is in this sport?
Oh, let's see here. A little background. Yeah, I know my volume's low. Unfortunately, I'm on my phone, so sorry. So from a flying standpoint, I am a P3 free flight pilot, thermal pilot, ridge soaring, stuff like that. Although, admittedly, I don't do that as much as I want to. I am a trike pilot. I am also a foot launch pilot. I am certified through the ASC for tandem exemption and also through the USPPA for tandem exemption for trike and foot launch. Actually, let me double back on that. I am not tandem exempt on foot launch tandem, just because it scares the hell out of me. And then as far as for a living, I am a custom bow builder. Think bows and arrows. Sell those all around the United States for about 5 months out of the year, and then I'm a farmer for the rest of the year, which is what I'm doing right now. In fact, just about 20 minutes ago, I was out in the garden putting more plants in.
What about custom marshmallow launchers?
I have custom marshmallow launchers, although I'm sorry they are packed away because I came back from Arizona last week. They're still in the trailer, so I don't have any to give away tonight. Although, I
Nope.
suppose we could give some away.
No. That wasn't to get you to
Yes, it
give them
was.
away.
Yes, it
No, it
was.
wasn't.
Shane.
I
Yes, it was.
still have yours. Do you want to see the one you gave me 3 years ago?
Absolutely.
All right, let me get Krista to get it
Farmer
out of the
Dave.
camper.
Yeah, that's about right. So I am watching comments on this one as well. Last time I was on, I didn't have comments up. So.
Well, I will do my best until Will and Mark get here, but I am horrible about reading the chat and dealing with the show. So, anyways,
I kind of feel like I'm doing OPN or After Dark, watching the comments and actually talking. This is weird.
Yeah. Well, it is no filter, man. So
yeah, let's get into it.
Alrighty.
So the disclaimer on this is, guys, a lot of you know that I'm a USPPA incident investigator. So tonight does not come from any standpoint of the USPPA. They don't endorse my opinions. They don't agree or disagree with my opinions. This does not come from the USPPA in any way, shape, or form. That's the first thing that I want to put out there, because I'm sure there's a few people out there going, "Oh God, here we go." So I'm not coming at this from a standpoint of any USPPA or ASC side. I am going to be coming at this from my personal opinion, and then from a standpoint of an instructor as well, and also a pilot, somebody that's out there to fly. I would like to think that anybody that actually knows me, that has sat down and had a cold beverage with me or flown with me and stuff like that, I would hope that this community thinks that I'm a fairly level-headed guy. I'm pretty quiet until I'm not, type thing. So forgive me if I kind of go off the little deep end on this, because one of these subjects really touches my heart in a bad way. And like I said, we'll be covering that here in the second part. So Shane, if you don't mind, I think what we ought to do is I can go into the whole pilot side of things, as far as for responsibility, to, in what we have, towards each other, responsibility towards this wonderful sport, and hobby that we call paramotoring, or paragliding, if you're like me, paraglide and paramotor. And in that is stepping up on the responsibility of making sure your equipment works. We've got people out here that I know for a fact that certain things on their gear doesn't work. And it's not only dangerous to themselves, but more so it's dangerous to people flying around them and or people on the ground. I've said it plenty of times, I don't want regulation in this sport, but we are one step away of somebody getting seriously hurt and the FAA taking interest in it. And people say, well, the FAA doesn't care if we kill ourselves. No, they don't. Kill yourself all day long. But the second you hit somebody on the ground, or the second you kill somebody else, that's where they're going to take interest. And as I've said, I think I said it on the last show, you don't think that they're not going to get involved in paramotoring? Look how fast they took over drones. Yep. Look how fast that became regulated. It used to be I could fly my drones here and fly them up to 1,000 feet. Not no more. It got cut to 400. And then from 400, it got cut into weight classes and then licensing and all that other good stuff. So, look, if your gear doesn't work and you hit somebody, you need to step up. In the case that I'm talking about, and I'm not going to name names, and Shane, I'd appreciate it if you don't name names on this, because really, from a personal standpoint, I don't care. I really don't. But from a professional side, and if it was me, I would be hot right now. If you hit somebody, you tear their wing, anything else like that, you break their gear in any way, shape, or form, you, by God, stand up and pay for it. You don't ignore that person for what, 2 weeks? When they're texting you, and I'm getting copies of it, hey, dude, this is what's going on. $750, $800 in damage, and you're going to walk away from it? You're a fool. You're a fool for not going up in the air, or going up in the air with broken equipment. You're a fool for getting close to somebody, and you're a fool for tearing somebody's equipment up and then not stepping up, not ignoring them, ghosting them.
Not even replying at all. Not a, hey, listen, I'm financially having troubles or whatever. Nothing. And that's pretty crappy, dude. You there, Dave? Oh, I think Dave froze. Ruh-roh, hold on. I am working on getting the boys in here real quick. Oh shit, hold on. We're working on Dave crapped out on us, but it's all right. Come on. Hold on. Jeez. Now I have to go to this. All right, hold on. All right, so it's just me now. Don't be afraid, guys. Oh, come on. Will you not? Yes, I would like to enter studio. Apparently, the guys are having trouble getting in with the link I sent them. So now I'm going to have to resend it through my phone because, again, I'm on my wife's tablet and it just ain't working. So that wasn't hard to figure out. But, oh, hold on. Man, this is a great show so far. I'm killing it, just so you know. Hold on. Invite guest, copy, and then Facebook Messenger. Where is Mark and Will? Copy and paste. Send. All right, let's see if that works. Oh crap, we got to turn that off. And oh no, I don't want to end broadcast, dummy. This one in that. Okay. All right, so there's Dave back. All right, here we go. Hold on. Add to stream. Come on. Oh, I can't stand this desktop thing. All right.
I broke the internet.
Hold on. Here we go. Good Lord. Hey, if you guys want a professional show, this is not the one to be watching. All right, come on. Add to stream. Here comes Paralife. Add to the stream. Okay. Are we getting going here? And Will. Add to stream.
Yeah.
All right. Ruff, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Oh, man. You want to talk about a shooty show? Oh, good Lord. I did mention, Will, you and Mark were busy because you were making your payment to Mark to stay at the Paralife Ranch Mansion House. So,
we were spooning.
oh, there's.
Time got away.
Say that again.
I said we were spooning and the time got away from us.
Are you guys sitting close together? Because one of you, I can hear an echo.
Yeah. Can you hold on? We'll be right back. Oh.
Will, you mute. Mark's muted. You.
Muted, and now I took my earbud off.
Okay. All right. So we should be good now.
All right. All right, Mr. Ruff, you were saying, sir.
Yeah, actually, I'm reading the comments, and Shane's Planet Shane actually brings up a good issue. Paying for damages is a moral issue, not a PP issue, though they definitely are related, overlap. I disagree. Why do we carry car insurance? Is it a moral issue if you hit somebody to pay for it? No, you're required to have insurance to pay for those damages. You turn around, you go to a fly-in, and your equipment's not working, which is not even relevant in this point, but you damage somebody's equipment. Is it a moral issue, or is it you put yourself into that situation and you took somebody else's equipment out? Do you pay for it? I'd say most people would.
If I was in the situation where, which I wouldn't have ever be in, but if it came out to be my fault, I'm going to let you know, hey, listen, I'm going to fix your stuff, replace your stuff, whatever is fair, but it's going to take me a while. I'm not going to not message you back or get in contact with you and just act like I didn't see nothing. I think that's...
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so heated over this. You know, I was included in that when those messages were going out over the past 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks. And I actually reached out to the person and said, look, at least get in touch with the man. At least acknowledge him. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going through some hard times. Whatever. I'm not going to be able to cover it right now, but yeah, let me step up. Almost $800 worth of damage, and it was a brand spanking new wing. Now let me also cover too, and I've told Cole this too. I don't think Cole had any. Well, I'm going to cover Cole. I don't think Cole had any business flying there. I really don't.
me neither.
He was very low time, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And look, guys, and again, Shane's Planet brings up a good point. Yeah, it's a issue of morality. Well, I propose, let's say, we'll fly. Let's say we're at a fly-in, I take off, and I misjudge my takeoff roll, and I get just barely off the ground, and my trike, prop sucks your wing in, and I chop it up, and, off I go. Whose fault is it? Is it your fault for leaving the wing on the ground, or is it my fault for, plowing through and not aborting the takeoff? I would say it's mine because I didn't abort the takeoff. I didn't have a clear runway. Although you foot launchers like setting up in front of us, so you probably deserve it anyway.
Wait a minute. Whoa. You guys have to sit there and get your GPS right, your radio station right, your air conditioning just the right temperature.
The cup holder.
Cup holder, make sure your onboard coffee is at temperature. I don't know what the hell.
And figure out what state we're in and call our girlfriend, one of 3 girlfriends in that state, to get them in the front seat.
I
don't want to hear about it.
And let's not forget about the 10-minute startup process, the warming up process. While there's 16 guys standing behind me holding their motors up, let me make sure my tire pressure is good. Jesus.
And this is why we just pull our wing up, taxi around everybody, and go take off. But my point is that you at any point, they say accidents in aviation happen in a series of 3 mistakes. And I say that damaging somebody's gear is not only a decision-making thing, but it's a series of mistakes that lead you to that event. It's not the guy that I just chopped his wing up. It's not him necessarily. I guess you could say, well, maybe he shouldn't have been there. But it comes down to me making that mistake, and therefore I should probably step up and make that person whole.
Why can't it be both? Both from a legal standpoint and a morality standpoint. I mean, so not everybody's moral compass is the same, so I think that's kind of why it needs to be both. For me, I wouldn't have to be held legally responsible to want to replace or repair or whatever it took to make that person whole who I damaged. So it might be a little of both.
It could be. I still stand a little more on the side of it's pilot's responsibility. And I don't know, maybe that's just what's instilled in me. Maybe that's what I feel what's right. I think that if I were to go to a flying, and God forbid I don't damage anybody's equipment, but I would at least at that point, if I can't cover it then and there, give them my wing, do something. I would at least acknowledge it and say, hey, look, it is what it is. It sucks, but I'm going to make you whole in that because, it was me that caused that damage through whatever circumstance. And that includes if I'm rolling down the runway and you've got some trike or foot launch coming at me from the side and I've got to abort a turn to avoid a collision and I run over your wing. Well, I put myself into that situation. I'm still there. To me, it's very clear. It's like driving a car. It doesn't necessarily matter who's at fault. That's why you have insurance. But in this, I think it matters who's at fault. And I also think it really matters when you ghost somebody and just don't even acknowledge it. I mean, what?
Yeah, well, we're saying the same thing, Dave. We're saying the same thing. I'm with you. It's the pilot who does the damages of responsibility. But I mean, some people's moral compass isn't, the bar is not quite as high as maybe yours is or mine is or whatever. Someone who would step up and I'm here for you. I messed up and I'm going to make it right. So maybe I guess I don't want to use the word the legal side of it because it's I think that's the reason for the laws that we have with that insurance stuff is because not everybody is morally responsible.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And even then, I mean, let's face it, we're going to talk about car insurance real quick. Car insurance never makes you whole. I went through that a couple years ago in which a drunk driver, I hit him at 60 miles an hour. Clearly not my fault. I mean, no fault whatsoever. It was a drunk driver. And when we got the insurance check, that money wouldn't replace the vehicle that I just totaled because of the drunk driver. Of course, no insurance, no license, blah blah blah. It's a civil suit, and I saw that mentioned, and yeah, I honestly think it is a civil suit. Um, so anyway, guys, look, we all do this. This is just my opinion. Like me, hate me, disagree with me, whatever. My opinion in the matter is that if you go to a fly-in, you go to a fly-in field, you're flying with somebody other than yourself, and you do damage to somebody's equipment, including hitting a house or a car or anything else like that, you absolutely need to step up and pay for it. Period. End of story. Um, it would be the same if you were flying a fixed wing. It'd be the same if you're flying a Quicksilver, ultralight, a hang glider, a jet aircraft. It's you are morally responsible. You are, in my opinion, ethically responsible and financially responsible if you do that damage.
Hey, real quick, Dave, I just want to show you a little something. Held on this for 3 years now. I have launched multiple marshmallows at my wife with this thing while camping. Just so you know.
Have you tried Nerf darts?
No starts?
No, Nerf darts.
Oh, Nerf darts. I was like, no starts. That's usually when I hit her in the face with a marshmallow. There's no anything that night.
Well, except for the couch.
All right.
If you haven't used Nerf darts on those things, get yourself some Nerf darts. They fly better than marshmallows.
All right. Well, when they're flaming marshmallows, it's more interesting.
Yeah, then they stick. And then it's not the couch. Then it's not the couch. It's outside.
Oh, no. It's probably jail time.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Come on, computer.
Let's see. I believe his kill switch was broken for quite some time. Yeah, I can actually attest to that kill switch being broken for at least 9 months, possibly even a year. I know that for a fact. As an eyewitness, I saw it. I was at other flying events with him, and his kill switch did not work.
Okay.
Simple soldering.
All right, here we go. Man, both my laptops will have taken a crap tonight, and I'm on my wife's tablet, so everything is horrible. So I must apologize to you, Will, and to Mr. Ruff there, and I guess all the chatters too.
So you're fine, Shane. I mean,
What's that?
You sound fine.
Even in the chat, they're like, "Why is Shane echoing?" Let me try this.
We did that last time when I was on too. Oh wow!
What's that? Worse or
I
better?
just heard that echo.
It was worse, and for a second, and then it got back to the same, which was okay.
So is it worse or better now? The echo?
It's the same.
Well, hell, I can barely hear you now, so I put my earbuds back in. I thought maybe it was the earbuds.
Oh, Angela. I have to cover that. Angela says, yes, James, understand, but he pays for a fly-in. He should be given the benefit of flying, and don't most newbies announce they're beginners? In this case, I thought others were alerted. Unfortunately not. When you're at a fly-in and you've got, even 10, 15 pilots, unless they know each other, nobody knows that somebody's new. No, not at all. And in this event that we had gone to, there were probably every bit of 100, 150, maybe 200 pilots. A fly-in, and Angela, you really need to come out to Flying Circus. I was actually kind of depressed you weren't there. I mean, those two guys, I mean, they're good guys, but not nearly as cute as you are. You need to come out and witness a fly-in and just see the amount of motion and what's going on. Nobody knows somebody's new, and every instructor, and we'll cover this here soon on the instructor side of things. Every instructor that I've ever talked to, when people are talking about going to flying circus or any of these big events, say, look, don't fly your first time. Just go there, see what's going on until you get some flight time under your belt. Because so many things happen so fast. People cutting in front of you, wake turbulence, having to pay attention to a pilot, that's 30 seconds out in front of you, seeing where his flight path is, because the time you get there, you're going to get hit, by wake. Coming into land with people taking off and landing all at the same time, wind moving, all over the place, dust. I mean, just a myriad of things that are going on that you're literally having to manage quite a few things, all at the same time, unless you can just get up and get out. Once you're out, you still have to take a look around, of course, but when you get within a half mile of that flying, event, it's a nightmare. Things happen.
Yeah, and all that's happening while you're close to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is just, Angela, absolutely come out next year to Flying Circus. In fact, I'm going to be lighting the big main fire with a fire arrow next year. It's already been planned. And come out and hang out and check it out. And if you want, I'll take you up on the tandem. We'll go up at a fly-in, and you can see how busy it is. It's nuts.
Okay, so we've gotten that pretty much covered. I'm ready for Trike to go.
Hey, if I could, but I can't post Lift Paramotor's joke, and I want to.
I got a joke for tonight.
Can you post his when you're done with yours?
I don't know. I'm on this, dude. I'm on this tablet thing.
Right. Well, I don't have the privilege. I don't have the.
Why not? You're a co-host.
Yeah. Well, the way I had to log in, for some reason, it's different here.
All right. So where is Peter Pan's favorite place to eat out?
Wendy's.
Wendy's.
Honestly, I didn't know the joke. I was like, Peter Pan, Wendy.
There we go.
There you go. I just got it.
No one said it had to be good. It was just a joke.
Okay. So Lift Paramotor says that he doesn't call it chicken salad. He calls it breast implants.
Ah, nice.
I thought that was pretty funny, man.
I like that.
That was pretty good.
Oh, jeez.
That is really.
That's funny, isn't it?
I like it. I like it a lot.
That was good. I like
So
that.
okay. So then I got a question for you, Dave. So if you're at a fly-in, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but if you're at a fly-in and you're flying with these people, you don't know these people, you either got to assume that they're brand new or they're expert. So what would you assume?
There are two types of people at fly-ins I stay away from unless I personally know them. And that is an expert and that is a newbie. In my opinion, they're both just as dangerous. Mm-hmm. One is unpredictable and the other one is way more unpredictable. I remember when I took lessons back in 2016, that's when I did foot launch and I did free flight. And one of my instructors said something very profound to me was, as you go forward, your first 50 flights, first 100 flights, however many you get in that first year are going to be reasonably safe because you're still new. You still respect the rules of the checklist, getting off the ground, getting altitude, not, turning too low to the ground. For most people, the first 50 flights are usually not anything under 100, maybe 50 feet. But as you get through that first year, that's when you start becoming complacent. That's when things become, oh, been here, done that. I've got experience. I know how to control that wing. And that's where we start flying low. and that's where power lines come into play. And then we start going to fly-ins, and we're like, oh, everybody's taking off. I'm going to get into the air. And we don't think about wake turbulence. We don't think about people pulling acro right over main stage. We don't think about, people just turning and doing all sorts of weird stuff. And that's where we're going to get hurt. And in my opinion, after the first year to about the second or third year, that's where you're going to get hurt. And then after you get past that and you start becoming that expert where you can really fly, maybe you've gotten into acro or whatever, that's where you're probably going to hurt somebody else. And you may not ever be aware that you did it. You may pull a barrel roll center stage, 200 foot off the ground. Meanwhile, somebody's flying through, hits that wake turbulence, gets a partial collapse and pile drives, or maybe even recovers and scares the hell out of them. And you're not even aware that you did it. So long answer short, the two people that scare the hell out of me are newbies and experts. And when I fly, unless I know those people, I fly and get the hell out. I get the hell away from people. I'm not an acro pilot. I'm not a formation pilot. I'm somebody that's going to get out and go long maybe, or at least go enjoy a flight and not have to worry about what's around me.
So basically, just if you don't know the person, stay away from them.
Yeah, unless I know them. If I know you guys. If we're on the ground, and hey, tomorrow we're gonna go fly. Hey, let's do a wing bump. Yeah, the conditions are great. Let's do it. Or hey, let's go do a cross country, and we may be flying, 100, 150 feet in formation, going someplace. But never, never, never with somebody that I don't know. Or that I haven't talked to, that I haven't sat down and had a cold drink with, that I haven't maybe flown with them before or flown around them. I just don't do it. It's too risky.
I myself, when I go to fly-ins, I try to be within the first dozen people to take off in the morning, or the first dozen people in the afternoon. One, it's less crowded, and two, you have less chance of running into anybody if you're within the first dozen people in the air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm usually that wind dummy as well.
Yeah,
I'm usually the first.
Someone's
off,
got to do it.
down.
I'm not doing a wind dummy. I'm doing the keep avoiding from colliding with anybody. I've watched people get ready to launch and everyone's coming into land because it's almost dark. I'm like, how in the world are you going to go take a flight? It's a 10-minute flight. Why? Everyone's coming in behind you, and you're setting the wing up.
To get in
Probably
queue
because the
to
wind
land.
is probably because the wind is nil or 1 or 2, and they're not comfortable getting up in wind.
That's just, to me, it gives me the heebie-jeebies when I watch that. I'm just waiting for an inflation and someone coming into land, and it's just a whole process in my head. That's
one of the reasons why I first put a strobe on my foot launches, and now all my trikes have them, is so I could get up a half hour before sunrise, and I can stay up a half hour after sunset, because ain't nobody gonna fly during those times. And for me, if I want to do a sunset flight, it's very easy for me to get up, an hour and a half before, 2 hours before sun, set, and go fly, and wait until the sun goes down and then come in after. But usually, I'm usually the first person up, the first person down, and then I go get a cold drink in my lawn chair and watch people break props. I mean, that's what I do. I think it's just the funnest thing in the world. But yeah, and going back to again fly-ins. Angela brings up a good point. Well, he paid his money. He should be able to fly. Yeah, he should, but is it smart to? And Angela, I'm not calling you out. I love you, sweetheart. I really do. But those events like that are just not the place unless you are a seasoned pilot, and I'm talking 50, 100 flights minimum. Getting into some wind, some bump tolerance, some good decision making, altering, you're coming in for final and having to power out or maybe do a crosswind landing because you're trying to get out of the way of somebody. One of the rules is that landing pilots have right of way over takeoff. But here's the thing, the landing pilots are coming in from behind you as I'm getting ready to take off, and I'm looking, okay, I don't see anybody. I start to inflate that wing, and all of a sudden I've got a pilot right here. Yeah, technically I'm supposed to shut down. He's got right of way. and people don't. They force that takeoff and they come up off sideways in all sorts of weird ways, and almost collisions, and it's
Hey,
just
Dave.
nuts to me.
Hey, Dave. We're 35 minutes into it. We need to get into the other subject.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, guys. I'm gonna take the hand or the gloves off on this one.
Watch
So
this. Hold on. Watch this.
You scared me. I'm still with you, man.
If anybody used to watch me, back when I used to do After Dark, they saw a show one night in which I went off on an instructor that we'll refer to as the I don't even know how to refer to him. The captain, I guess. Captain in his own damn mind. I took on some students last week, and one of the students that I took on, both of them came from Captain Kurt's class down in Florida. One of them was able to be with me. The other one had to cancel out. It's going to go through in May. And as I was teaching this guy, I always ask all the questions, okay, so you're starting lessons, you want a retraining, so what do you know? Do you know how to kite? Do you know how to forward? Do you know how to reverse? What are we doing? Are we doing foot launch? Are we doing trike? The whole gambit. So I can kind of get a feel for, what we need to really work on with the student. Because retraining sometimes can be real tough because you got to learn bad habits. The only praise that I will give Captain Kurt in any of this is that he doesn't frickin' teach anything as far as for kiting or anything, so there's no bad habits to undo. So Kurt, good job on that one. So as I was talking to the student, he was telling me about his friend who I'm training in May that was supposed to be there, had to cancel out. And he said, yeah, he went up right behind me and he flew off the ground and within seconds went into the fog. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, he took off. And I was like, how many seconds? He goes, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 seconds. He was off the ground into the fog. And I was like, what? So he told me this whole story of this pilot, his friend, the guy that's going to be here next month, taking off, being launched into fog, disappearing into the fog, and flying around, being talked to by Captain Kurt, and landed. And I was like, okay, this is a secondhand story. I'll take it for what it's worth. But the keynotes was he disappeared into fog, completely couldn't see him. They were standing right next to Captain Kurt. Couldn't see him, only could hear him. Said when he powered down, we could barely even hear him there. And there's obstacles going, up. I don't remember if he said they were going up into the fog, but there were obstacles right, as you come out of the fog, there's obstacles. And the whole time, Captain's saying, oh, don't worry, I can see you. I can see you. Don't worry about it. I can see you. And this guy landed. So that night, I called this other student, the guy that actually made the flight. And I said, tell me what happened. This is what I heard. You're not in trouble. I'm just more curious. What happened? He said, oh, yeah. He took off, disappeared in the fog. He said, David, I went up into the fog, and I couldn't see the ground. I was like, no ground contact whatsoever as far as you couldn't see it. No, I couldn't see the ground. I couldn't see anything. It was all white. And I'm like, oh. And he goes, yeah, he was on my headset talking me down, and eventually I landed, and that was it. And I'm like, oh. I was like, ever teach him how to kite? And he goes, no, he just launched us. The wing came up, and actually, when the wing came up, it came up sideways, and when he came off the ground, he was already in a pendulum. So he was penduluming into the fog. Now, I'm not the best in airspace rules. I'm really not. In fact, I go to Kyle a lot to ask questions. And I've asked Jeff Goying questions. Jeff Goying can do the 1 or 2 minute airspace rules. But if I recall correctly, in Class G airspace, you can fly clear clouds with 1 mile visibility, lateral visibility out there. You have to have 1 mile and clear of clouds, which means that in Class G, we can fly up to 800 feet and sometimes even 1,200 feet. And I think that's an E rule. I have to double check. Again, I'm not good on airspace. But I know in Class G airspace, we can go to 800 feet, clear clouds, 1 mile visibility. And that's how we fly next to these clouds and get these beautiful flights sometimes when everything is right. But if I recall correctly, in Class G airspace, at no time are you ever allowed to fly into the clouds, ever. In fact, no airspace rule, unless you're VFR and a fixed wing pilot in general aircraft, or I'm sorry, IFR in general aircraft, are you ever allowed to enter the clouds? So Captain Kurt, and I hope somebody in the chat is friends with him. Captain Kurt, with all due respect, you're a freaking idiot. Launching somebody into the fog. Oh, I had eyes on him. No, you didn't. Because my student who was standing next to you, his wife who was standing right next to you, didn't have visual on this pilot. And he's coming in next month, and I'm going to get a deposition from him. I'm getting a deposition from my student, and I've gotten depositions from other people I have trained that you have trained. Because one day, sir, you're going to kill somebody. And when you do, I'm going to make sure, whether it's in Ohio or Florida or wherever you teach, I'm going to call that local DA, and I'm going to give all these depositions of people that went to the hospital. Oh, you know, like the guy that really hurt his ankle, and he said, okay, next. And he went on to the next guy as this guy is writhing in pain. And then the next guy that went up was sent to the freaking hospital. And you say, oh, well, you know, we've never had any accidents. BS. I've got depositions that prove differently from the very people you taught. So when you hurt somebody or you kill somebody, Captain Kurt, I will be there, dude. Launching a new pilot, no flight experience, first flight, doesn't even know how to kite his wing, up into fog, low clouds. You're an asshole. And that's all I got to say about that. I will be there when you hurt somebody. I will make sure the DA knows. And you will go down for at least manslaughter, dude. Because you need to stop instructing. But here's what you can do. And this is where I like to think that I'm fair, and anybody that knows me that I'm fair. You can stop this BS. You can start teaching people how to kite. Oh, well, you don't need to know how to kite because you're flying a trike. No, you do need to know how to kite. Kiting is flying, man. It teaches you what your wing's going to do. Oh, well, they don't need to learn reverse kite. No, trikes don't really need to learn how to reverse kite. I know how to do it, and if I've got a pendulum or a caster wheel, I can actually reverse kite a trike, turn back around, and go. But you know what reverse kiting does? It allows that pilot to be able to kite in higher winds so they can get to know that wing, because the day that you stop kiting is the day that you should probably stop flying. So, Kurt, with all due respect, man, let's take it down a level or two. Why don't you start teaching? Seriously, man. Stop pulling people's wings up. Stop launching them into questionable position or questionable wind, or I'm sorry, questionable weather. I know you don't launch anybody if the wind's blowing at all. Start launching them into 5-6 mile per hour wind. Let them get that bump tolerance. Because if you keep up on this, you're going to end up killing somebody, and I'm going to be right there like white on rice, like stink on shit. I'm going to make sure the DA and the judge have all that information. So anybody that's in this chat that's friends with them, you make sure you give them the timestamp. And Kurt, you want to start calling me and making threats like you did with Foot Flyer and all that other, which is all over the internet, by the way. People can read all about it. Then you go ahead and get my number. You make that call. Please do it. Because I will use that as well, man. And if you want to show up at a fly-in and threaten me and stuff like that, go for it. Nobody in this chat may like me. Maybe they do. But I'll guarantee you, man, I'll guarantee you will go out of that meeting in cuffs. Push me. So that's what I got to say about that. And these instructors that do this type of crap, same. They need to be taken out of the game. Stop teaching. Because one of these days, somebody's going to kill somebody, and the FAA is going to take notice. I saw a Dell comment up there. I didn't read the comment, but I saw Dell's name. Between Captain Kurt and Super Dell, I would rather send somebody to Super Dell, because at least they know how to kite. They know how to fly. Dell, in my opinion, and I'm no fan of Dell whatsoever. I think he's got a mouth on him. I think he's narcissistic. I think he's socialistic, and I think he's dangerous. But at least the man knows how to fly. At least he knows how to teach his students how to fly. You, Kurt, no. Story after story after story.
Isn't Super Dell teaching off the beach?
Yeah, yeah, and look, I don't know a lot about Dell. I've never met him.
I
I
I
have
have not either. I just asked
when I
if
had
you
After Dark. When I had
go
After
ahead.
Dark, I actually invited Dell and Kurt to come on. I'm gonna ask real questions, but I'll be fair, and they never took me up on it. As far as I know, Dell teaches on the beach, which is a real problem because yeah, you can kite for 8 hours a day, and they become superb kiters. I mean, they're good at what they do. But when you move them inland, you see more Dell students fail on inland flying trying to kite because now all of a sudden there's thermals and rotor and everything else, and they can't do it. Um, well, I'm not going to say they can't do it. A lot of them fail at doing it until they start getting used to flying inland.
Well, the other host of the show, who because of the computer thing, they're having a little issue back there. Um, Mark went to a place in Texas. I actually know the name of the school, but that's not the point. And he kited all day long on the beach. But then he came back to Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and now you've got a launch where there isn't a steady wind. There isn't, just pull your wing up and it'll just stay there. Um, and Mark had a bunch of issues starting out, and I'm speaking for Mark just because of what he told me. I may be a little bit wrong on this, but he did have some issues. And when he came back to fly at home, he had to learn pretty much all over again due to the fact that there wasn't steady wind.
Hmm. Yeah, and I've been at the beach. The beach will spoil you. And anybody that has ever learned inland and has never gone for a beach flight, go for the weekend, man.
Mm-hmm.
The beach will spoil you. It is so much fun. You can sit there and kite and get down on your back and kite with your toes and kite with your hands and drink a beer and just have a great time. It is so much fun. And the flying's a lot of fun. But I'll tell you, when you move back inland, or if you've ever been taught on the beach, the first time you fly inland and start taking rotor and little microthermals and stuff, you're like, what the hell? The wing just, you're like, well, why is the wing doing that? So, you know, again, I'm no fan of Captain Kurt. I'm no fan of Del Shanzi. But between the two of them, in my humble opinion, I would rather see somebody get trained by Dell. And I'm not endorsing him. I'm not. But at least his pilots know how to fly. At least Dell knows how to fly. He does some stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. But Kurt is going to hurt somebody, and when he does, I'm putting him on notice. Again, if there's anybody in chat that's friends with him or whatever, you put
Hey,
him on
do you
notice.
know? Do you know Lift Paramotor?
Do I what?
Right. Do you know Lift Paramotor?
Mm-mm. Oh, I see
Okay,
the
he's
comment.
In North Carolina.
yeah, he's out of North Carolina. I
Yeah,
think
hey,
that's a really
Lift.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm up for that call. And actually, Lyft, I'm in North Carolina, in the Charlottesville area every year for at least a couple weeks, and we can get together and sit down and talk and even fly. I typically actually don't bring flying equipment in North Carolina. I did once or twice, and they closed the field, and I just don't bring equipment. Um, but yeah, here's the thing. I'm gonna do some name dropping here. I actually, before the show, about 3 4 days ago, I called Noah, um, president of the USPPA, and said, dude, this is what I'm gonna do, and I don't want to come off on either issue like I have an agenda, because I don't. I mean, when it really comes down to it, as far as for the first issue of damaging somebody's equipment, I've got no dog in the fight. I really don't. I really don't care one way or another. But I also see it as, if you damage somebody's equipment, especially if you're doing something stupid and then double down on equipment that's not working properly, maybe you ought to step up. And then to third top it, to just ghost the guy, it, it's dumb. And somebody, I mean, look, he's a new pilot. Us seasoned guys sometimes just need to step up and say something. I even thought of getting, Tucker or Judson or somebody to speak up about it. Yeah, this guy has damaged equipment. It was a brand new wing. He's $750, $800 worth of damage now with a repaired wing. And there's nothing wrong with a repaired wing, but why should he have to fly it? It was brand new. Yeah, I've thought about bringing those guys in, to talk about it, maybe do a fundraiser, which I doubt they'll do. I mean, they've got so many other things on their plate. But, we as a community, as older pilots, our more seasoned pilots and stuff like that, really need to protect our younger pilots, both from themselves, but also from other people that may smash into them and then walk away. And for what? We need to come together as a community, like Liff said, and these instructors, and come together and write our own rules. Because if we don't, the FAA is going to write them for us. And if the FAA intercepts us and we've already been talking about rules, we can actually then say, hey, you know what? We've got a bunch of rules here that we've been wanting, trying to self-impose. Can we work with you and be in a much better position? And
I got a suggestion real quick, Dave. I'm sorry. So I'm doing my flying in June, and I've got to pay liability insurance. So if you get a pilot that shows up to a fly-in that damn well is not a responsible flyer, I mean, if something happens because of this pilot, now your liability insurance next year is going to be even more. So now you got to start charging more for pilot fees.
Not only that, but if you knowingly let that person fly at your event and he hurts or kills somebody, it's not only the liability side of things, maybe the FAA steps in, but your own conscience has to live with that because you knew about it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see anybody ever get banned from a fly-in or anything else like that, but there comes a point that if you drunk drive too many times, they take your damn license away.
Yep.
If you shoot a gun and there's something downrange too many times, the police will take your gun away. If you do something that purposely harms or reckless endangerment of somebody or something, eventually there are consequences. Do I want to see this person get banned from fly-ins? Not particularly. But at the same time, the next time could be worse.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do? And that's the same thing with Captain, Kurt as well. And that's why I said, and I'm going to say it for a third time, anybody in that chat that knows him is watching to see what I'm going to say or anything else like that, you timestamp my rant. And Captain, I'm going to say it again, you can timestamp this one. When you hurt somebody, especially when you kill somebody, I am going to the DA with all these depositions from these pilots that you've trained. And I'm going to make sure that DA has it. And boy, yeah, we'll see what the law is going to do. Because you're gonna hurt somebody. Well, you've already hurt people. They've crashed, hurt their ankle. Okay, next person went to the hospital. I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, Kurt. Don't threaten. Just straighten it out. Just straighten it out, man.
Angela said that she really likes true talk or straight talk or whatever. And this right here, it is straight talk. And it's also called
No filter.
Self-regulating. That's what we're doing right here. We're bringing up the hard topics and we're discussing them. So it's healthy. But the thing is, when I first started, I did a search on the internet for paramotor training. And guess which two came up? And I didn't know any different. And if I just went by what those guys were saying, it'd be like, well, man, yeah, sign me up, So I think that again is why it's so important to get hooked up with a local group of people. But here's another thing, Dave, and I just thought about that. I bet you a lot of people when they go to start the training process or find out about schools or where to learn, I bet they do the same thing and they search the internet. So I wonder if the USPPA could do something to where they kind of get into that search result thing and start here. And they've got a list of trainers, I think, on the website.
So one of the things that my students said the other day when we were training. He said, I didn't know any better. So I got up online and started searching. Look, in 2016, I did the same thing. I got up online, and you know who I ran into first? Was Del Shaughnessy. And I watched all his videos. And to this day, I still think his camping videos where he flies up in the mountains and camps with his sons is one of the most touching, beautiful videos that he does when he keeps his mouth shut. I mean, cool. And I was like, hey, I want to do that. I want to fly in the mountains and land up top and go camping, or land in the backwoods, shoot an elk and bring it out with a big giant, paramotor. That type of stuff. And as I got to watch more and more of them, I was like, whoa, this guy's mouth is really kind of a turn off. I'm not going to deal with him. And I saw Captain Kurt. I was like, oh my God, free training? Yes. And this is what my student said. He didn't know any better. And he said, I really wasn't looking for anything free, but free training, okay, And I see it all the time where a bunch of people go, well, 2,000's too much, 3,000's too much, 4,000's too much. Yeah, I charge 2,000 if you've got your gear. I could charge 2,500 if you don't. I'm on the low spectrum because I'm not in this for a living. I just take the money and put it back into the farm on the 1 or 2, 3 students I have a year, because they all go down to Kyle's. And I think that's great. And I keep current going down to Kyle's and helping, teach and things like that. And actually, I need to go back to Florida and take some recurrent stuff. Actually, I did for one day when I was in Arizona with Noah's class. Look, you're going to pay $100 to $200 an hour for a wet aircraft, and then you also got instructor fees and things like that, and get up into the general aviation. This is the cheapest flight that you could ever do. And I see people on these boards saying, hey, do you think that a Briggs and Stratton engine will work if I bend some tubing and build this machine? Maybe, maybe not. But do you think maybe you ought to learn how to fly and put a couple of years under your belt before you started experimenting? Just saying. Oh, well, I want to get cheap equipment on eBay and go fly it. Yeah, I did that. Here's my hand. Yeah, I did that. I bought a cheap Blackhawk 172. When I got it, the case was unscrewed, and we had to put it all back together, and I ended up soloing it. I thought it was a deal for $2,500, and it was, until we had to put all the work into it. Guys, anybody that's watching this now or later and you want to learn how to fly and get into the sport and stuff like that, here's what I tell my students. Look, you can buy a used motor. Just get with me, and I'll make sure that it's a decent motor before you buy it. When it comes to a wing, I recommend a brand new wing, because at least you know where it's been. And as far as for instruction, anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 is probably what you're going to pay for instruction. But when you go to that instructor, you ask them, hey, what do you teach? Do you teach the FAA rules, Part 103? Do they teach weather? Do they teach good decision making? Do they teach you how to kite? Do they teach you how to taxi? All these things that these instructors, most of them teach it. Some of them don't. Make sure that you're getting the full gambit of everything. And if you've got to pay an extra couple $1,000s to do it, by God, do it. Comes down to the whole, I'll self-teach. I've never been an advocate of self-teaching. But you know what? There are some really good friends of mine that self-taught, and they're really good pilots. And there's some other friends of mine that self-taught, and they ended up going to an instructor. I guess it really depends on the person. What's your life worth? As Kyle says,
I've watched.
When the motor goes out, you're flying the wing. Make sure the wing's new. But what's your life worth as far as for what you don't know?
I mean, how many guys that are self-taught that have spent more money on damaged equipment to replace it, that they could have gone to school and saved that money on that?
Lyft Paramotor just made a great comment. David, I think instructors need to raise their rates and start taking instruction more seriously. Yeah, and that's what the USPPA and the ASC are doing. There's set standards that we have to go through. I think I ended up taking, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was 10 or 11 tests on the USPPA side. and it was 3 days of instruction and teaching Kyle Mooney and Travis Burns how to fly for the ASC. Where you're actually in there, and you know, as far as for reoccurring training and stuff like that, I'd really say that I guess it depends on how often you're training. You get some trainers out here that are training 8, 9, 10 students a month, and they have a curriculum and they stick with it, and these people are good at it. Do they need retraining? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, Dave Ruff. I'd like you to meet Austin from Lift Paramotor. Austin.
Hey, Austin. How you doing?
Hey,
buddy?
good. I wanted to get on here and just kind of help give some input and stuff like that. Nothing specific, but
Good deal. Good deal. Well, I think there definitely needs to be a coming together of ASC and USPPA, and I think that we need rules in place. Do people have to follow them? No, they don't. Do people have to have memberships? No, they don't. But we all do need to follow a paramotor Bible of thou shall not do or thou shall do at all times to keep us out of trouble. I think that the two organizations personally need to get together and start putting paperwork down and start presenting it to these pilots and especially these promoters of these fly-ins. One of the things that drive me nuts at fly-ins is you got people taking off and landing all in the same area within a couple 100 feet of each other. Why are we not flying people out or letting them land in front of us and flying them out, letting them take off, so they're not constantly coming near each other? Why are we not inspecting equipment? I saw somebody say, yeah, they thought Dave Wolf was going to go ahead and inspect this person's equipment if they show up. I actually told Dave Wolf, and Dave Wolf is one of my best friends. He's my brother, man. He and I have conversations. He and I fight like brothers. He and I agree like brothers. We love each other. I told Dave Wolf, no, don't just inspect him, inspect everybody.
Yeah.
Why are we not putting a sticker on the motor? And why are we not putting a sticker on the wing? And he said, well, there's not enough people to do it. Well, then make people. Ask for volunteers.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing this stuff? Why are we not holding instructors accountable? How in the hell is Kurt Pfister still getting people? How?
Well, when I first started looking at this sport and looking at schools, Kurt was my first pick because of the free training if I bought the gear there. And now I'm looking between $2,500 and $3,500 to go to school, and I still had to buy my gear. And I was like, well, I get free training, and if I just save myself $2,500, $3,500, that's why. Luckily, this is no joke, I happened to be at work. Some guy drove by in a paramotor with in the back of his truck. I left work, followed this guy to his work, asked him some couple questions, and he's like, "Oh, I went to Four Winds PPG over in Avon Park," and that's where I went.
Yeah. That free instruction is so luring. And when you're looking at a trike, both these guys that I'm training are trike pilots. They both have trikes. They both bought them. Obviously they're. This poor guy, I pulled out my old tandem trike. I ended up getting a Zenit Premier, and I've got the Flash Cruiser with a 250 rider, et cetera, tandem. And he looked at that and he's like, "Why didn't I wait?" That's how he lures. Somebody had just made a mention. I just saw two names because I've mentioned Kyle. Listen, Lone Star, awesome school. Love those people. One Up Adventures, oh my God, love those people. I'm not here to promote anybody. I'm not. But you can find these schools that absolutely teach you everything you need to know. Might actually save your life.
yeah, I think there's just such a huge lack of good instruction. I think that partly because there's just so much competition in this sport with schools and instructors and people trying to sell gear. I think that people really just want to make the buck, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that are just trying to they're looking at volume, and they're just trying to feed people through as quick as possible. And they're okay, right? They might be teaching somebody how to fly, but they're not teaching people the theory behind aviation in general. And I think that that's a big problem.
One of the things I've seen actually Lone Star do, I've seen One Up Adventure do it, Kyle and I do it. And again, I teach maybe 1 to 4 or 5 students a year. I mean, I rarely teach, just because I'm busy with my other stuff. But if I'm busy, I send them to Kyle or I send them to Lone Star. You know, they're both reasonably local to me. Kyle's done the same thing with me. He sent me trike pilots. You know, I've seen One Up, do the same thing. I've seen Lone Star do it. I mean, if these instructors would stop saying, "Oh my God, there's $3,000, $4,000 plus I may end up getting equipment. I need to fire people through." No, stop. You know what? Let's slow down a little bit. I get overhead, guys. I do. I own my own business. I travel for a living. I'm in sales. That's what I do with bows and arrows. And I've tried doing 11 shows a year where I was out on that road for 10 months out of the year. And I cut it down to 3, and I make more money now doing the 3 shows than I ever did doing the 11, because the product, aka the instruction, is so much more wholesome and so much more instructional that those people are taking that out saying, "Hey, go to this person because I learned everything that I need to learn." Instructors need to do the same thing.
Hey, I'm glad he came out from underneath that desk you're sitting at, Will.
Yeah, he was finished.
I was going to say something, man.
Oh, geez. Who was it? I can't remember who mentioned it, but it was a good point that both of those guys come up in the very, at the very top when you do a search for paramotor training. I'm pretty sure they advertise, and it's really hard to distinguish between an advertised placement and just the regular Google search. But regardless, yeah, like you, Shane. I mean, Kurt was on the top of my list.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go to Kurt, but I ended up going to a local guy. So that's why I'm thinking there might be something that, from an organization standpoint, they could, I don't know, do a little advertising or something to kind of put USPPA up on the list when someone does a search for paramotor training.
It can do that. And the other way that you get rid of that is you do exactly what I've been doing now for 2.5 years with Kurt. All these depositions, all these firsthand accounts of these students either getting hurt or being launched into bad, stuff, whatever. A deposition of what the training was, so that when Kurt makes that final mistake and finally kills somebody, you're on the ball. You contact that state, you contact that district attorney, you say, "Hey, here's all the paperwork." And then all of a sudden that accidental death starts getting investigated and can absolutely turn into manslaughter. Maybe that's how you combat these people. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, let me say that again, in my opinion, it's predatory what's going on with that. It's absolutely predatory, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. So anybody that has ever had that type of training, you need to get word out, not just to me, again, whatever. Get it out to other people. Talk about it. Write something on the internet with his name in big fat letters so that search comes up. There's some interesting stories about this dude. I mean, of threatening people, of doing all sorts of weird stuff. I don't care what he's done in his personal life outside of paramotoring. I really don't. In fact, I had an argument with a guy just a couple days ago, and actually he made some really good points, and we weren't friends before that. We're friends on Facebook now. I don't care what he's done in his personal, but what he does within instruction and what he's doing with students, it needs to stop. Or he needs to change his ways and actually teach rather than just flying people up in the air and, "Oh, hey, rubber stamp, you're flight junkie 2,043,910. Nobody gives a crap how many people at the end of the day you've taught. Nobody cares. They care about the quality, not the quantity.
That was Guardian Service Dog who made that statement. Hey, you know what this is? Plain and simple. It's what we've all heard before. That what affects one of us affects all of us, especially if it's negative. So yeah,
Will David consider bringing back After Dark? Absolutely, positively, no.
Will Dave consider coming back on the show later and hang out again? Let's
for
yeah.
part two.
less excited.
Yeah. Here's a nice thing. I'll mention Dave Wolf and stuff like that. I think all of us from that era, to a lesser extent, miss getting online and talking about paramotoring and interviewing people. But it came to a point to where there was nobody else really left to interview except for repeat. And there was really no new ideas for us, for OPN and for After Dark, that we could really make the show exciting. And then you guys all came out and started new ideas in these new shows, which I think all of us enjoy watching when we can. But more importantly,
Really,
we get to fly
you enjoy watching right now. Look at Will. That's
Listen,
nuts.
You said you're going to give me $20 for saying that, okay? So, like I said, man, and this could be Kurt, it could be Dell, it could be, hell, it could be Will Fly if he screws up. I've always been somebody that if I see something wrong, I'm going to say something. If I'm wrong, I am willing to admit it in front of everybody and apologize publicly, and I've done so. But at the same time, I'm willing to call the BS out for what it is, because I care so much about this community. I love watching solos. Oh my God, I still get the jitters when somebody solos. I love it. I love launching off of mountains and launching into thermals. I love flying my trike and foot launching to a lesser extent. I love this sport. I love the people that are in it. And we may not all get along. We probably don't. But at least we share a passion within this. And I don't want to see governmental entities, because look how well that's happening right now, of getting involved with this. Because then what? Then we need licensing. Then your instructors have to take real classes, get real licenses, and guess what? Their price is going to start going up through the roof. They're going to start going $100 an hour to teach you. These aircraft that we fly, they're going to have to start getting certified. Guess what? You're going to have an inspection station for that. They could go that way. And people are like, oh, Dave, they won't ever go that way. Really? Drones. That's what they did. And
let me ask Austin real quick. What's your opinion about what Dave is saying?
Yeah, 100%. I think that, like I said before, I think it really kind of all comes down to just better instruction overall. And I think that it's not just teaching people how to fly, because it goes a lot farther than that. It's teaching the the instructors ultimately are the future of the sport, because that's where people come to start. The instructors, well, that are Paramotor for Beginners on Facebook, but one or the other, right? It's where people learn. It's where people build their foundation, and if we can teach them the proper ways to attend to flying, and the proper ways to stay safe, and the proper ways to adhere to just good ground etiquette and flying etiquette, and so on. I think that like I said, I really think that a lot of it comes down to the instructors. People make mistakes and people get complacent, and it happens, and it's gonna happen, especially in this sport with the types of personalities that the sport commonly attracts, and it's gonna happen. But I think if it, like I was saying before, I think if instructors could really come together and create some sort of guild to have some sort of standardized or some sort of common ground behind how we're bringing the new pilots into the world. I think it could really make a difference. I mean, I think it would be great to like be able to share waivers and documents and share the things that are helping other instructors succeed, and what are those strong points and what are their weak points, and it's not to it's that would that's for me to decide and for you to decide, and you can take what you want, take what works for you, and take what you think will work better for you, and stuff like that. But I really think that but yeah, I mean, would more regulation be a good thing? I don't know. I mean, I think you're right. I think if it became more regulated, it would definitely make this sport a pain in the ass. I mean, but it would also make it a lot safer, and
That is
it
true.
would make it would make it more of a cowboy hobby and more of a general aviation experience.
Let me interrupt you here real quick because actually Bill just said it, and I was going to say it about a minute ago. Is the USPPA does have a standardized syllabus.
Yes.
The ASC does as well, and so there are standardized syllabuses out there. If we could just get the instructors to buy in, and I've heard, oh, I like ASC, I like USPPA. Man, it doesn't really matter. Standardized syllabus, from either side, a combination of both, whatever. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Is at that point, those instructors, no matter where you go, then it opens up to competition, and competition is great. You charge, 2,500. I charge $3,000. I'm 500 miles closer than you are. Allow them to make a choice.
Uh-oh.
You gotta get the standardized, area, and then the
Dave, we're losing you, Dave. We're losing you. Uh-oh.
Is he gone?
No, he's frozen, though. It must be cold in Texas because you're frozen, Dave. All right, so Austin, what was your opinion on what he just said? What you could understand, because it was pretty broken up, if anything at all.
No, yeah. There is like the USPPA does have like their own syllabus, and I'm not sure if you can really see it on here if I hold this up, but so there is. It's no. I want to see my face instead. It looks better anyway. I'm just kidding.
Well,
that's debatable. No, but no, yeah, they do have like their own syllabus and stuff, which is good. Not every instructor is following that syllabus, and there are a lot of skipped steps, and there's a lot of students that I've heard that just don't get the attention that they need in training, and they don't get the like in regards to certain sections of this syllabus. I've had students from other schools come to me and basically just say, like, we went through the syllabus, but we just buzzed right through it, and I didn't really get it. It didn't really click for me, and I've heard that a lot of times, and so that's kind of the other issue. It's and again, I think that's more of like a volume thing. People just want to get people in, get people out, collect their money, and be done.
I can tell you my personal experience. There were only 3 students in my class, and everything was very well done. Actually, Four Winds was actually affiliated with Aviators and then broke off. So the things that were taught to me, I've heard in Aviators step by step in their videos. So, and I'm not saying Aviators is the best or not the best, or I'm just saying I'm 250 something hours and I've done extremely well with over 450 flights. Like I've done really well, and I'm fully aware at some point it's going to turn out wrong at something. But you know, I thank God that I picked the school that I did, because it's taught me enough or more than enough to keep me in the air and keep me good enough to not have damaged any equipment or gotten hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I did not get great training when I learned. We've talked about that before, but a majority of what I've learned and a lot of my skills came from after training. It was just, for myself, it was just learning how to fly with other people and learning how to, the guys that I kind of started flying with, they really taught me, because they were on the sidelines and watching. And so they were the ones that were kind of really getting me dialed in. And yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the instructor's job, but I didn't really get it, but
I was the worst kiter ever. Like that school, like I had to be the worst kiter ever. And once I got that motor on my back, everything clicked. I don't know why, but everything clicked, and I have done extraordinarily well for a new pilot. And after 3 years of flying, I still feel like a new pilot. I just at the beginning of the intro and the outro is me face planting. Why? I allowed one line around my foot that I didn't see because maybe I got complacent. Maybe I don't even know how.
I think
Whatever.
you did it on purpose.
Oh, dude, trust me, it hurt bad enough that if I did it on purpose, I won't do it again.
Well, we all make
Cautious still,
mistakes.
man. Yeah.
I mean, we all make mistakes. I mean, beginners make mistakes. Seasoned pilots make mistakes. I mean, there's a lot of ways to make mistakes in this sport.
Yeah, I made it. I made a good one.
Yeah.
Right in front of everybody. And I tell you what, I posted that, and I leave that on the. I had Will put that in the intro and outro. It's funny, but it's also something to learn from. Like I'm laying there on the ground, going, "What in the hell happened?" And it was Mark McElroy has a different angle, which doesn't. It's not as funny, but the side angle is way better. But it taught me what I did wrong. Like it shows Mark's angle shows what I did wrong, and it really. I'm not even embarrassed about it. I was just confused of how that happened. But the winds were stronger that morning, and I should have reversed, but I didn't want to be the first guy to reverse and look like he was showing off. That's honest to God. When I walked up, I clicked in a reverse, and then I said to myself, I don't want to be that guy, and I unclipped, set my risers back down, spun around, and hooked back in. Knowing the winds were going to be stronger, I took an extra half a step back, and I put more forward momentum into it, knowing that the wing was going to try to snatch me backwards. And that half a step is probably where I got into that little loop when we all kind of flip out the lines. I think that when I took that little extra step back, it did me in.
So that's not where you went wrong. You know where you went wrong.
I allowed my thought of what other people think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm sure Austin is this way. I know a lot of us are. Instructors at fly-ins or flying fields or stuff, when we see a pilot pull a wing up, reverse forward, or launch, especially trikes when they taxi and turn around things, get stability, and then take off. Foot launchers, can do the same thing. When we see that, we go, "Wow, that's a good pilot." When we see simple mistakes, and that's why I show off my crash landing into the corn, not because I'm proud of it. It's hopefully somebody can learn something from it.
Yep.
when you have control, don't ever be afraid to make a reverse launch because you're showing off. Dude, it could save a prop. It could save you breaking your leg, your ankle, your neck. Do what you got to do, man. Show your skills. Be proud of them.
I will tell you, I showed my skills. I left my hands where they were supposed to be as my face hit the ground. I never put my hands out.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, that's pretty much all I
How
got to
does one
say
do
about.
that, Shane?
What's that, Will?
I've never seen anyone do that. I don't know how you could possibly keep your hands by your side.
I'm trying to sell it like I meant to do that, but I hit the ground before I even knew what the hell happened, just so you know.
Yeah, every time I see that, I giggle, man, because we've all made mistakes. We've all done dumb things. I mean, it's just part of the learning process.
Yeah.
I strongly believe, and I tell anybody that I ever teach, is the day that we stop learning in what we do and what we call paramotoring or paragliding is the day that we're dead. You have people out there that have been doing this for 20 plus years, and a lot of those people, the legends of the sport, that paved the way to this, will tell you they're even they're learning now every time they go out. And I think that really needs to kind of be the accepted attitude when you start getting in and even thinking about instructing, is to start stepping away and getting back to the basics, because you're teaching the basics to students. I heard of a school that basically teaches SIV maneuvers right in the beginning to learn how to fly. I don't know how true it is, but I think as instructors, we're definitely passionate about the sport. We're probably pretty decent at flying, but when we instruct, we need to get back into the mindset of back to basics, man. And teach that, and good decision making. Let me repeat it: good decision making, because that's what's going to keep you alive.
All right, so let's finish this up. We're a half hour past where we normally go. Austin, you got anything you want to add to this tonight?
No, I don't think so. Thanks for letting me tune in towards the end, though. It was good.
Austin, you got a school you want to advertise or what have you?
Sure. Yeah, Lift Paramotor. LiftParamotor.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Lift Paramotor.
And Mr. Trekfly Dave Ruff. Jeez, sorry, you can slap me. I'm sorry. He done froze. He didn't hear that. Oh no, he did. He unfroze. Mr. Ruff.
Damn it.
Where can we find you at? And if there's a school you want to maybe get an extra student in or two?
As far as for a school, look me up. Just contact me up on Facebook. I really don't have a school that I really advertise. We used to call it East Texas Paramotor, but whatever. You can find me up on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube, Trike Flyer David Ruff. I put up farm videos, flying videos, although I haven't been doing a lot of videos. Been doing a lot of lives. And yeah, man, just be good to each other. Just be good to each other.
And Will, do you want to share your school where you are an instructor at?
Yeah, my school. Just look up Dave
Dairy
Ruff
Queen.
or
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen, PPG. No school, but if you want to check out my videos, you can go to Will Fly on YouTube or Will Fly PPG. Take you to the same place.
All right, guys, you can find me here at Never Trust Skinny Chef Shane or on TikTok at ppgshane.com. We are going to get out of here. If you guys want to hold on real quick, we'll finish up. Don't forget, Austin, to watch the end of this clip here. It's just for you.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it.
But maybe you should see it again. It's awesome. All right, thanks, chatters. I appreciate it. Next week, we're going to talk about Holler at the Waller fly-in that we're going to in Alabama. We'll be there tomorrow. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Come on.
I got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time, guys. got no